Hi there, my name is Neil Tickton and I'm one of the creators of the Smart Spacer. We're going to show you how to set up one of our 4-panel Smart Spacers on this 6-foot long folding table. Now before we get started, there's a couple of different types of folding tables. This one is one piece and it's completely flat. Some folding tables will fold in half in the center and they might have a line that goes down the center of it. If you have one of those, just put the Smart Spacer to one side or the other as you're setting it up, and it'll be a little bit easier for you to do. Now, when you get a Smart Spacer kit, you're going to have a series of plexiglass panels like this. You'll have a slotted rod along these lines. You're going to have the top cap, which has the Smart Spacer logo on it, as well as the decorator holes around the outside. You're going to have panel holders that are going to go on the bottom of each of the pieces of plexi, a couple of screws, a hex wrench, and of course, the base. Now the base has these small pieces of silicone like this that are on each one of these slots. They're meant to be there and you should leave them in place when they come installed or ready when you get your Smart Spacer to begin with. You're going to take the rod and you're going to insert it into the base so that the slots line up between the two. You're going to drop the screw in, start the screw a little bit, take your hex wrench and twirl it around. And you're looking for this to be hand tight, not super tight, just hand tight. Place the base with the rod now inserted in it in the middle of your table. And in this case, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the slots are aligned at 90-degree angles on the table because that's how your panels are going to be aligned. Now I'm going to grab a pair of gloves here just so I have a few less fingerprints on it. You're going to take one of your panels like this. And every panel has the straight corner that is going to go directly into the slot and has the rounded corner. The rounded corner is what is at the end of the table in case somebody that's sitting at the table or using the table or walking by the table walks by. We want to make sure that they're protected with a rounded corner on it. So the trick to these panel holders in making it a little easier for you to set up is that you want to have it at least halfway, a little more than halfway, between the corner, the 90-degree angle corner where the rod is, and the outer edge. And that way it gives a good balance and makes it a little easier for you to install it. On these 6-foot tables, it's best to first start with the larger panels first. In this case, this panel will go to the end of the table because people will just be on one side or the other. A lot of our Smart Spacers will extend off the end of the table, just like these will on this side for what we call our safety overhang. You're going to take this panel holder and you're going to place it down and you're simply going to insert the panel and push down on it. You're going to then use a little bit of a trick. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the corner of the Smart Spacer and align it into this groove on the rod. And as we guide it down, you'll see that it guides it right into place for the base as well. Now, when you're putting together a Smart Spacer, you can do it by yourself, but it's often easier to have a second person just sort of give you a hand and make sure that the panels all stay in place. So I'm going to ask my assistant to come in and do exactly that. And she's just going to hold the panels and make sure that they stay in a good location. I'll grab my second large panel. I'll do my little trick. I'll slide it down. It might stick up a little bit on the end. We're going to notice here that we're not quite centered, so we're going to bring it all into the center. And I'll grab my panel from this side. Bring it on down. And if you're finding that it's a little bit tough to get the panel in, what is likely happening is that you are at an angle. Now in this case, the panel holder was not quite in the right location. So we want to just slide it down a little bit so that it is. And that way it helps us keep it all in place. Our last panel here It's going to go into the corner, slide it on down. And again, if you're at an angle, it'll be a little tougher to do. Panel holder's a little bit too far, so we're going to slide it in just a little bit. And actually, what you'll find is that the Smart Spacer will stand up at this point, but it is not in any way, shape, or form stable. We're going to take the cap, because we're going to bring it all together to make it stable. And this is, again, the one with the logo on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the groove along the edge of the plexi until we find where it matches the groove on the second panel. And that will automatically align it so that they're all together in one form or another. They may not be tight, they might be at a little bit of an angle in one form or another, but they're all now in the groove. We're going to grab our screw and we're going to start to bring the screw in, but we're not going to tighten it all the way, because the first thing we need to do right now is make sure that all the panels are all the way into the slot. And then we're going to start to tighten. Now, the easiest way to make sure the panels are on the slot are to grab the middle or have somebody on the other end and push from the edge like this. It's really important with the clampless Smart Spacer to make sure that the panels are all the way into the groove. That's how it's going to stay together. As we keep looking at it, we're going to go ahead and tighten it. We're going to check them again. And we want to make sure that we're not seeing any bulges out along the rod. If it's not aligned, it'll pop out and curve just like that. Once we've made sure that they're all nice and tight, again, we're going to just keep on tightening this down. Check it one more time. And now on this one, unlike the bottom, we're going to make it really tight, just like that. Now, one last double check, because we want to make sure that all is good with the Smart Spacer being together. We're going to pull on each panel while holding the middle. And if we do that and the panel's not coming out, it means that the Smart Spacer is nice and tight. Once we've done that, we can actually lift this up just like that. We can even shake it and the panels will stay in place. Now, if you're finding that your table is a little uneven, the Smart Spacer, which is even, will rock back and forth, and as it should, and as you would expect. All you need to do is for these panel holders that are at the bottom of each panel, you can adjust them by just pushing them a little bit up or a little bit down on the panel, and that will take the rock out of it so that you are accommodating for an uneven table that you may have, or a table with a seam that goes down the middle. That's a Smart Spacer. We hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening.